Alright, this build is insane. It's based off a Reddit post by user WinxGaming, who's managed to do 15k damage in a single attack. So in this video, I'm breaking down the build, showing you how you can do it yourself, as well as the locations of all the items you'll need. Number 1, the weapons. You'll need to be dual wielding 2 Giant Crusher hammers, upgraded as much as you possibly can. Here's the location. You'll only be able to get 1 Giant Crusher hammer in each Elden Ring playthrough, so to get a second one, you'll either need to play on New Game Plus or get a friend to drop one for you. If you can't get a second Giant Crusher hammer, it's not the end of the world. There are other colossal hammers you can use. I'm using the Prelate's Infernal Crozier. To get this, go to Fort Lade and defeat the enemy using it. Once you pick up these weapons, it's time to get our talismans. Alright, so the 4 talismans you'll need for this build are as follows. First, the Claw Talisman. This does 15% extra damage on jump attacks. You can get this here. Next, Radagon's Soar Seal, which raises loads of your attributes at the cost of defense. You will be a bit of a glass cannon with this strength build, but that's okay, this is more of an experiment than anything. We're just trying to see how much damage we can possibly do in one attack. Next up, Radagon's Scar Seal, another talisman that raises the attributes at the cost of defense. And lastly, the Ritual Sword Talisman. This adds 10% extra damage when health is at maximum. And for the last one, you can kind of mix and match on this one, it's up to you. I personally like the Dagger Talisman, which raises critical hit power by 17%. But I think on this one, you have to backstab them or parry them in order to get the most out of this talisman. I don't know if this works on jump attacks. Someone will have to check that one for me. Okay, we've got our talismans now for our spells. You can buff your attacks massively with these 2 spells. The first spell is called Flame Grant Me Strength. It grants 20% extra physical damage and lasts 30 seconds. You can find that here. The second spell, well, it's more of an incantation really, is called Golden Vow. This grants a 15% damage increase and lasts 80 seconds. So cast these 2 spells before you attack and you'll give yourself a big attack boost. As for consumables, there are 2 we can take. The first is Exalted Flesh. This buffs damage by 20% for 30 seconds. You can craft it using Armorer's Cookbook 3 with these ingredients. As for the cookbook itself, you can pick it up here. The second consumable to take is a Rune Arc. Use the Rune Arc while you have Godrick's Great Rune equipped and it'll activate the Great Rune, raising all your attributes by 5. The duration lasts until death. Godrick's Great Rune is a reward for killing Godrick the Grafted in Stormvale Castle. Okay, we also need the right Ash of War. The Ash of War we need is called Royal Knight Resolve, which you can find in Volcano Manor. It buffs the next attack by 80%, although you will have to trigger it again if you want it to work on the next attack. This Ash of War is more of a one-time thing. Now we need 2 ingredients for our Physic Flask. First is the Winged Crystal Tear, which massively reduces equipment load for 3 minutes. Even if you've got low endurance, you could comfortably wield colossal hammers using the Winged Crystal Tear. Although, you know, only for 3 minutes. The second item is the Cerulean Hidden Tear, which reduces all FP consumption for 15 seconds. This is really useful because you'll be using spells and Ashes of War, and that's going to take a lot out of your FP meter. The final thing you need for this build is the right armor. I recommend the Raptor's Black Feathers chest armor, which increases the damage of jumping attacks by 10%. This actually stacks as well, so this plus the Claw Talisman is going to increase your jumping attacks by 25%. As for the stats you'll need, here are the stats that I've got. The originator of this build was level 182 when they did this, and I'm not quite that high yet. But the main thing you need to do is level up Strength and Arcane. This is because when you apply the Ash of War, you can change the weapon to scale with Arcane. So if you've got high Strength and high Arcane, you'll get loads of attack power out of your weapons. And of course, you'll need the right level to use your spells, which in this case is 25 Faith. I also recommend 25 Endurance so you can move about while you dual wield colossal hammers. Okay, now it's time to test this out. As you can see, it's a lot of preparation, so I don't really think this build is going to be viable for PvP, but here's what you do anyway. So we're going to take a swig of our Wondrous Physic Flask to reduce equipment load and eliminate FP consumption. We're casting Golden Vow for more attack damage, then Flame grant me Strength for attack damage as well. Do Golden Vow first because it lasts longer. You can also use a Rune Arc to raise your attributes and take a bite of Exalted Flesh to raise damage. And now use the Ash of War on your two weapons. I do this by switching to one-handed on each weapon and pressing LT. To switch to one-handed on your left weapon, press LB and Y, and to switch to one-handed on your right weapon, press RB and Y. Now you're ready to rush in with your massive hammers. So jump, press LB to swing both weapons at the same time, and see what happens. Okay, honestly, not as much damage as I was expecting. Certainly not 15k's worth of damage, but still that's more damage than I've ever done before, and we're killing a giant here in 3 hits, which is many less hits than any other build I've used in Elden Ring. But still there is quite a lot of setup for that end result. All those things I swigged, all those little buffs and boosts took a while to do. So if you just use your massive hammers instead of doing all that, you'll get less damage, yeah, but you will save a bit more time. Of course, you can get up to 15k damage in different ways. There's always room for improvement. So if you've got any suggestions, then do let me know in the comments. I mean, one way to improve this build straight off the bat is by leveling up my Arcane more. That would give me more attack damage on my hammers, and I could also go into New Game Plus and get a second Giant Crusher hammer. Also, I could use a Giant Seal to cast my spells, as the Giant Seal raises the damage of the Flame Grant Me spell incantation by 20%. Also, upgrading your hammers with smithing stones is going to give them more power. So yeah, there is a way to get this build up to 15k damage in a single swing, just as you saw in the Reddit post, but it will take a bit more leveling in order to get there. But hey, if you're already there, if you're at like level 200, I would love to see how this scales at level 200. So let me know in the comments how you get on with this build. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, and hey, if you want more Elden Ring videos, then subscribe to the channel.